Hey, what's going on? Using my story. Once again, it's me, Samuel. We have another great guest with us today. So we're going to spend a little bit of time with you guys and just share some hope and some faith and just show that if we can make it, so can you. So go ahead and take a second, brother, and introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Garry McLendon, and I live out in Santa Clarita Valley. And I just love carrying a message of hope, man. I live in gratitude every single day. I carry a message of it's just like my example as a human being just carries the depth and weight that you need, man. It's just my example. But tonight, or today here on this show, we're going to share a little bit of words, to let you know how it happened.
Of course. So Garrett,
yeah,
you came out here with intent.
Yeah.
You came out here with a purpose. So we're just going to jump right into it, right?
Cool.
So we talk about, on this platform, we talk about mental health issues and we talk about substance abuse. Some of them go hand in hand. Some people are struggling with those things individually, but most of the time it's a combo. It's a combo factor. So let's talk about where you were brought up. All right. And what that looked like for you. Where were you raised at?
I was born and raised out in Antelope Valley, Palmdale, and that's all throughout, man. There's Palmdale, Lancaster, Antelope Lakers, Roseman, Lake LA, Little Rock. It was like I sort of grew up and was and lived all throughout that radius, which is the Antelope Valley. And I was raised by my mom. Parents divorced at 5. Mom was in her addiction. You don't know. Dad was. My dad was a normal drinker. He wasn't an alcoholic. He's a very successful man. Raised a family and everything like that. But I was that mama's boy that got raised by my mom, and my mom was in the disease. And so. So if your parents are in the disease, you're in the disease, whether you want to know it or not.
Exactly.
And so and being that I had the love and the bond you got that I had with my mom, that I wouldn't leave her side no matter how bad it got. I had that. And they talk about decisions. I had it. They gave me lots of choices. Like, hey, you can come stay with us. And live. You can have food in the fridge, your own bedroom. You can go to school and all that stuff. And I was like, no. I'm gonna live on this other. I'm gonna live this other. I'm gonna grow up on the hard knocks, right? I'm gonna live on the other side of the tracks. I'm gonna hang out with the other people, By the time I was, my mom would drag me around like my mom's best friend. My mom's boyfriend, was like a connection. He was like my father figure. I watched him, and it's like, I was in a position where I just watched him and everything he did, and I rolled around with him. And even though he did all this stuff, man, he was an example of a man for me, of motorcycles, or of what a boy needs.
A presence.
A presence, I'll tell you one thing he did is I remember on my and I have the picture of the night, man. As a man, my mom, I used to hang out. Plus I was a big kid too, I gotta say. But she dropped me off at his house, man, and it was a Christmas dance at my school. And I remember him taking me out, man. My mom couldn't, but he took me out to get all that stuff for that Christmas dance, the shoes, the slacks, the shirt, dressed me up, trimmed my hair up, made me look, he introduced me to cologne, and type stuff.
Some deodorant,
brush your teeth type stuff, and I'm forever grateful for that, man. And
so growing up in that area, did you have siblings?
I had 4 sisters. Yeah.
So are you the baby?
Middle.
You're the middle.
Yeah.
So growing up and your mom being in the disease, as you called it, in addiction and dealing with her own issues, your dad dealing with his thing, 2 separate households. You had what we can call, if that's okay, your stepdad.
Yeah.
So he was there, he was doing his thing, but like we said, he was the presence that was in your life as a male role model. Now, was it the healthiest?
No.
But we'll probably say no.
I believe too that my mom there was many guys that in a period of a life for a kid that were role models to me.
Yeah, of course.
Like my mom, I have 4 sisters, like 2 step, 1 real, 1 half, and like so my real sister and my stepsister, like she had another dad, so that was another male figure.
Yeah.
And which came with nothing but abuse and everything that of her just seemed like running from this guy all the time, And then of course you got the drug dealer guy, who he worked and everything was really good, and like he was very seemed supportive, And then we had like number 3 guy, to where like he just never went nowhere. He was just
there.
He was just there.
Yeah. No motivation.
No motivation. He tried.
Yeah.
He tried, and whatever their parents they had, but he tried.
So in that childhood, having those 3 biggest factors in your life, the drug dealer, the one that was just there, and the one that was trying. What did that do for you growing up as a man in what we can say a house full of women? What position did that put you in?
It put me. What it did is made you for me, I felt like I grew up too fast. I felt like I was in a position of responsibility of taking care of my little sister and my mom at a very young age.
Yeah.
And I think that any kid that gets cut off from his childhood, and gets into this thing of a responsibility at a really young age, I think that's something that affects him in some other, in some way,
absolutely.
emotionally, growth wise, and so I just I didn't think nothing of it, but I'll tell you, by the time I was, I was in the disease at 13, 14, and by the time I was 15, 16, like that, man, I was full-fledged in it,
Really?
I was in it, I was losing my teeth and everything,
Wow.
and into this disease,
So we'll call it 16, just for the sake of conversation. At 16, you're already full-fledged addict, and you were in it.
Yeah. At 16 years old, by this time I was already like, I sort of, things happened at my home, and grandma was very important at this time too. My grandma was alive, and she sort of was that anchor, that we have, and my mom went to jail, and I sort of moved. I started hanging out with the big boys. It's the beginning of high school year, and I started learning this hustle, and I started learning the means and ways to pay for things that I didn't have, to get maybe attention that I never had before in my life, and so what happens is I went out there and I got addicted to the street lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I got addicted to not only the street lifestyle of running. I'm talking like running through apartment buildings and running around the streets, but I got into with the older homeboys and the fellas and hanging out with at these houses with them, and feeling like I was feeling superior, going to school, going to house parties.
You're with the boys.
Yeah, and so and that's where it all began, and
So in that time that you were full-fledged addiction, running around and running amok, right? You're out there what I like to joke around and call messing around, right?
Messing around, dude.
So while you were out there doing your thing, where were your siblings, your sisters?
My sisters, my one younger sister and two older sisters were with my dad. But by the time 14, 15 years old hit for me, I was in my disease and I stopped talking to them.
Oh, wow.
My little sister, I stopped talking to that whole side of my family, my dad and my sisters, everybody, because I was out messing around, and they made it clear, like, hey, I was messed up.
That's a good one. I never heard that one.
I was messed up, and I must say that I used to be like, oh, they abandoned me, but the thing is I was out there. I was too addicted to the streets to even pay attention to all that. And they wanted me, like they asked me those questions, like, hey, you want to come over for Christmas? We'll pick you up, or you want to come over for Dad's birthday, and stuff like that. And they probably just got sick and tired of me lying, because my intention was I did want to come there.
Yeah.
I did want to be there, but the thing is that the disease doesn't let you do that stuff, because it was more important for me to be out there in my disease than it was to be over there with my family.
Absolutely. Which was going to bring me to my next question. So you were talking about being their caregiver and the man of the house for your mom and for your younger sister. So that's what I was going to ask, is when you started this addiction and you were in it, how big of a factor and how big of a change happened in that relationship with your little sister? Because there had to be a bond there.
Oh, me and my little sister. Yeah, I was that. Me and my little sister bonded like no other. She was like, that was a real bond. And I'd say that that bond grew. It might have when she was a baby and then into an infant. I watched her as a baby when my mom was out. I was that in-house babysitter, and I guess we probably. By the time she was, in grade school, though, man, I started doing time.
Yeah.
And so, so then it became a big period of life when I wasn't around,
Yeah.
And
so we can jump into that.
Okay.
So when you were in your addiction, you got so far gone. You were like, okay, well, obviously we all do whatever we got to do while we're in our addiction in order to maintain and retain that high, right? Some of us made some horrible choices. We won't get into that, just because of statute of limitations. But we'll talk about what that effect does on your family. So how old were you when you first started going into the system?
16 years old. I got busted. I was coming home. I was hanging out with the fellas at one of those houses, and I got into one of the friends' stolen cars, and I drove it home, and I got pulled over in it, and that started into YA, and little bit, nothing much there, and then it wasn't shortly after that, maybe a year or a couple years after that I went straight in. I'm 18 years old and I went to the county.
Yeah.
And then 18 years old, I'm in the county jail, and by the time 19 years old, I'm doing my first term in prison. And 18 years old, county, 19 years old, and a level 4 yard in Tehachapi State Prison, and I got out in 2003. Okay. And that I think was a big. The thing is like I don't think I was I wasn't scared. Like I remember my first time in county, and you're hearing about how Thunderdomes and all this stuff works in there, and it's scary, and you're people getting killed, and people getting beat down to death, and I had some bad experiences in there, but not those ones.
Yeah, it's relatable.
It's
people would say, "Oh man, bro, like where you going?" Like, "Oh, I'm going here." Like,
yeah,
bro, that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And they start dropping all these stories. I'm like, man, when I got there and I was done with doing my time, I'm like, man, what movies were you guys watching?
Yeah,
don't get me wrong. There were situations, but
the 4,000, the 5,000, the 9,000 floor up there in the day, going into the 9,000. I mean, it was like sometimes it was us fighting against cops. It was up on the rooftops at night. It was the White House. Living up in the White House. And it just started this. And I loved it, man. I loved it. I felt like I was in there, and I loved it, man.
That's like one thing that I could say is relatable. Like with a lot of our podcast guests that we've had, is our mindset at that time is like, yo, I made it.
Yeah.
Look at me, like I'm a superstar.
Yeah.
It's like, man, how demented and how twisted and perverted is our thinking that we're incarcerated and we've made it.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like we're putting all this energy towards this life that is destroying us, not only us, but our family members and those around us. But we feel like we've accomplished something when you get off that Grey Goose and you're like, hey, bro, look, I'm wearing a paper suit, like I'm walking into prison right now.
Yeah.
And you feel like you've graduated like with top honors when you walk on a yard, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's like, bro, now that you're older and you have some time under your belt with sobriety and you're maintaining life now and you're paying taxes and you're taking care of, you're paying rent, you're paying your cell phone bill, there's money in the bank, the fridge is full and the lights are on, because those are the responsibilities and where the energy should have gone to in the beginning.
Instead, all my life went to no responsibilities, and I let the system take care of me.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of times too, and as much as I like to regret it or say bad things about it, man, like if I didn't go and do time and get busted the way I did, man, I'd be out there dead.
Yep.
Because I was out there, and whether I was abusing the drugs and all that stuff and doing it and getting away with all the stuff I was doing, man, I was out there and I was dying, and I think every time I was, all my 20s, I was in and out of prison, and more in than I was out for a period. I felt everything but free when I got myself out.
Yeah.
And I was able, like, I'm eating, I'm sniffing Wellbutrin, and I'm eating Seroquel, and I'm drinking Pruno, like inside the system on a level 4, and I'm gonna tell you, man, that like I felt like I arrived when I got to those places, because that was that notch in your belt that you wanted, that I've been and I walked and I'd done this, because it sort of gave you like an authority, it's like the tattoos, man, it just felt, man, like it arrived, and I'm gonna tell you, and it wasn't even that first time that you went and you're on that 4 yard. It's the times you went back after that.
Yep.
Because now you already walked it.
Yep.
Now it seems like it just got easier off of that.
It was a comfortability,
right?
Yeah.
Now you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Now you know what's
so it's
going
like
on.
Like you were saying, like the comfortability in having that in your life, but when it came down to it, now I can look back and, like you were saying, like, oh, I regretted it, I hated it, I did this, and you can look back at all those things, but there are moments in those times where I'm grateful, and I'm like, okay, because I remember those conversations with people with double life and life plus 170 for gang enhancements, and they're like, bro, like this isn't the life. Like, what are you doing, right? And in my last term, there was a guy, I was one of my sallies, and he was just like, look, man, you're gonna go home. And you have to some point break this chain, and you have to be like, okay, this isn't the life for me. What is it going to take for you? Is it going to take for you to get a sentence like mine for you to understand, like, hey, He's like, because I have all this time under my belt now. Now, what am I going to do with my life? Nothing. I'll never hold my kids again. I'll never see my wife again. They divorced me. They left me. I lost both my parents already. He's like, what else is there for me? You know, and it's like you really have to take a step back. And I remember those conversations. And it's like one of those things that I stay grateful for, because they were able to talk to me on these yards and be like, bro, like, you're over here raising your hand to do things to end up in a certain destination, but what is that going to get you?
Man, I really think that doing stuff like that and getting the time, I think what it did for me is I'll share on this experience is that I think emotionally in any contact I had, I shut down completely on the outside world. So when I was talking to OGs and I'd be in the back or talking to these guys and they'd be talking about, you know, I'm in it for life. I got nothing going on out there. Like what it is I'm training my mind to go ahead and start thinking like them and accept that.
Yeah.
Accept that I won't see my kids no more. Accept that I'll never, you know, I'm gonna live by a CDC number. Accept that my life is going to be a life on a yard like this because you know what? Because I live like an animal when I'm out there on the streets.
Yep.
And so what it is I start training myself, man. I like, you know, you get busted. Like what it is like, and maybe that's why I got that emotional problem today about attachment is because I was so used to detaching every time I got busted, man. Boom, detach. What their whole life, man. You know why? Because I don't want a hard time. I want to do my time, right? So like my level of detachment is just like
off the chart.
Off the chart. Like what, you know, you said, boom, 100, like cold heart. You take those feelings, you suck it all in, everything you had out there, man, and you just like, boom, just you're cutting it off, man. You know, and
so when you did that time, you got out. What was the change in your life that said, I'm not going back, and I want to just do it different, and I got to live life?
Man, I a lot came on, man. I was in and out, and there's many times when I'd be out there and I'd be full-fledged in my disease, because what happens is every time I got out, my disease got worse. And then, you know, and then not only that, I started, you know, putting a needle in my arm inside prison, and then I brought that out, you know. So it brought me to my knees a lot sooner, and I'd be like, damn, man. And I swear it felt like times that you just it felt like I had no choice. It felt like the only thing I knew, man, was I'd come out and I only knew how to get loaded, man, to escape whatever I needed to escape, and through it, man, I'll say that man, what happened is that I think this is my favorite thing, and I love saying this, dude, is that I finally made a decision instead of letting the consequences of my actions make the decision for me. So it wasn't like, another court date, another sentencing, or another this happened and that happened, and to where I was a product of my environment and what happened. They're like, all right, you're going to do a violation, or you're going to do another term, because that was cool, because I'm not making those decisions. You know, I might, you know, like, and I felt like maybe when I got out, like, you know, and you're dope sick, and you're just like, man, I'm gonna make it to the parole office. You know, like I'm gonna do what I have to do to, you know, get that extra 30 days, you know, and then, like, you know, and then boom, like I can't even make that. I can't, dude. And for me, on, you know, February 14th of 2012, man, I was out for like 45 days, dude. Like by this time it's full on heroin, meth, pills, addiction. Anything I could put in a spoon and put some water in, you know, and it's bad, and I have no control. And I'm gonna tell you, I'm out there, and I'll do whatever I have to get loaded, you know. And I have those track marks from my ankles up to my neck, all the way down my arms, wherever I can put it in my body, wherever I can find that damn thing. I don't care, you know. Yeah. And it was nothing. I wasn't thinking, and I was never thinking. Like, I don't ever remember sitting in the bathroom in the cold sweats doing my laundry. I turned those bathrooms into my prison cell. Yeah. You know, and I don't remember if I was in the bathroom at a gas station, or a house, or a trap house, or in a car, or a stolen car. I never thought, like, man, you know what, this has got to stop. Yeah. But I know that I was sitting inside the county jail, and I was in that tank, getting ready to once again. March or February 14th. I'm in some activity on the street, and I get arrested that night, and I get arrested again. You know, they know, like, hey, just give me 2 blanket rolls. You know, I need a pillow. You know, and I go into county jail. I'm drinking hand sanitizer with top ramen packs on it, dude. I'm eating Happy Cars. I'm just like, moving around in there, and they call me and they give me another program. And up to this point, still, like, I'm just using it as a get out of jail free card.
Yeah.
And this is what happens, man, is that on March 17th of 2013, I come out here to Santa Fe Springs, right next to Whittier, and I arrive at this program with like 20 other guys. I don't know how many can fit on that white van, And, I see that friend of mine that was in there, and he has a little bit of time, and God bless him. And but I think it was the first time ever that I walked into the office and I made that decision for myself. And I think that's what a lot of it is that, man, is like, we can be done and mentally and spiritually and all this, but like, you got to be done. Like, you really have to be like done. Like, I finally made a decision for myself, man. I wasn't on that fence. I wasn't letting the system make the decisions for me. It's like, I went in there. They asked me, they said, hey, man, you want 24 hours? You can go or you stay, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
And what my mind contemplates, like, damn, I want to go. Like, I want to go, like, sitting in a room with all these other guys, and in this place right now, I'm uncomfortable, right? I'd rather go sit and do my time,
Yeah.
And it just really, like, just comes to this point, man. For me, it just really came down to this point, man, that I was, like, if I sat there inside the county jail, inside this transfer room, up against the wall with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a fruit punch, dude, and I'm sitting there, and, like, I'm looking around, man, and it's like nothing's changed, dude, but me. Here I am. I feel like I've been in the same spot for multiple years, in the same down with the conversations and our little groups inside this little area, right? And I'm sitting there, and I'm in that position, like, when I got my heads like this, man, and I'm dead, and I'm tired, man.
Yeah.
I am tired, and you start thinking about stuff. I was thinking about my daughter, my family, and all this stuff, man. But I was fresh out of ideas. Like, yeah, you know what, man? I don't know how to live life, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about responsibilities. I don't know nothing about working. I don't know nothing about a bank account, phone bills, driver's license.
Yep.
Like, I don't have no ability at schools, man. The only thing I know how to is I know how to be told what to do. I know how to, hey, you're working out like a program and a routine inside of a prison yard, waking up at 3:30, the chow hole by 4, 4:30 to 8:30 or whatever like that. You're making breakfast, you're going back, you're working out, you're taking a nap, you're going to dinner. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know this routine so well, and I'm gonna tell you, when I'm in there and I'm in that, like, that routine is what makes the time just fly by, right? You're in a routine or you're hard timing, dude.
One or the other,
man. And I watched in that office, man, and I just meant it, man. I went in there and I made that decision for myself, and I just meant it. I was like, I want to stay. I want to stay. There was a guy, his name was Levi, man. I love Levi to death, man. And it was something about, and it's nothing about, man, what we say around here, man.
Yeah.
It was like, what we say is cool, man, but sometimes, you forget it, man. But I'm gonna tell you like this, man. Levi, he came to the door and he was like, Garrett, big bro, man. So good to see you. And I stood up, man, like, no words. Nothing's coming out, man. I was just like, man, it was just like, big bro, so good to see you. And you're standing there, and he came up, man, and like, I'm in this indecision. I'm in this part of my life where, like, I want to run, I want to stay, I don't know what to do. And he gave me this hug, dude.
Yeah.
He just walked up to me, man, and he gave me this hug, like, and it's that hug, man. And he was like, man, I really hope you stay here, man. And then he told me what he was about to do, his little routine he has going on, and that he'd be back for chow, and he hoped to see me, dude.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to see him at dinner that night.
Yeah.
I really wanted to chop it up with him,
Yeah.
And it gave me a comfortableness. It gave me a little ease and comfort.
Yeah.
I walked in that office, man. I looked this program director in the eye, and I said, I'm gonna stay. And I meant it, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, like, it's because you own the treatment doesn't mean it was like, I meant it. I wanted it, man. That means I had to make the choices and decisions, and if you want it, man, you have to go after it, man. Because it's not this program. It's not handed to you, man.
Exactly.
It's work. It's action. It's like it's like feeling like you're defeated.
Yeah.
Because you're growing, man. You're getting rid of all that stuff that you needed to live life, man.
Well, there's one statement that I love. It says, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Get comfortable with him. It says it on my stone, on my meeting, man.
And it's like, bro, straight up, that's just what it is.
There is no growth in the comfort zone, man.
That's it, man. So it's like you sit in these zones, and if you want to be comfortable, then you're not ready for change yet.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just the bottom line. And it's because we can all go to these places, and we can go to these rooms, and we can just sit there and be like, okay, I'm not learning anything, or you can start saying,
It works, dude. I seen it happens. People come to the rooms, man. They can absorb because they come in. They're in with a group of people who are bettering their lives, and they can come here and just hear the message of people. And I'm gonna tell you, your life is better, dude.
Yeah.
Because you were coming to this meeting instead of going to a trap house. Your life is better, man. Your life is
even
better.
that is a decision.
That's a decision, right? That maybe because sometimes that's just like that's the planting soil we got, man, for the seeds out there to hope to see somebody that really picks up on that action, man. Because I'm gonna tell you, still to this day, with the amount of time I had, my sobriety day, March 17th, 2013, dude. I know that I didn't count none of my jail time because I was toxic in there, you know what I'm saying? But the moment I made that decision was at March 17th of 2013 inside that, and I never ever thought, you know, like it was just like I didn't know I was going to stay sober. I didn't know that was going to be the day. Like I didn't expect anything that came after that, man. Yeah. Was I when I talk about utter defeat, man, like you really gotta. Another hard thing is this, man, is like you do as a 33-year-old young man, dude. I'm 33 years old. I'm in a treatment center, dude, and this is what happens, man. They're talking about God. They're talking about all this stuff that guys like me, like I'm not. I ain't trying to hear all that, man. I come from a place where no, and I had this, man, I just got uncomfortable, man. I did the one thing that I never thought I'd do, man, is I met a man, you know, older than me, and man, I was like, man, can you can you be my sponsor, man? And that's like that, man. Can you show me how to live, dude? Yeah. Can you show me how to live? Because I utterly defeat, man. That I don't know how to live. I want to know. I want to think that all that stuff that I learned out here on the streets and in prison and for the minimum time I was out there or growing up, I want to really hold on to all that stuff because I really think it's important. Yeah. And the one thing I had to learn, dude, is I had to let go of all that stuff, man. What's good will stay and what's bad will go. Yep. And the sooner you can let go of all that stuff that you think you really need to succeed in life, dude, like those old habits, those old ways, the way you stand, the way you dress, the way your old friends, like all that stuff. All that stuff had to go. I'm gonna tell you, man. Anybody that says, "Oh, that's easy to lose," no, it's not, man. Yeah. When you've been in that lifestyle for 20 years, man, and you've been in that life, those friends, those people, that camaraderie, like you really feel like those people in that life loves you, man. Yeah. You really, and the thing is, the heartbreaking. I don't think it does, man.
It's all an illusion.
It's all an illusion. And then I had to ask, and then for guys like us to go to another man and be like, "Hey, man, like, hey, I don't know how to live life. I'm a F up." You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, can you show me? Or better yet, can you tell me, but can you show me? Yeah. And what it was is I just went in with this other guy and he showed me, man. He told me a lot. Yeah. But what he did, man, is that he just showed me, man. Yeah. That's just called to sponsor him, man.
And that's And that's one of those things too where it's like I think the biggest thing that I got out of that was the humbleness in a state of brokenness.
Oh, absolutely.
Of like, bro, I don't know how to live. Like going in and out's not working, obviously. Addiction's not working. We know that, right? And my mental health and my spiritual health and my physical health is shot out. So I need somebody to show me. And growing up in a place of like not having a positive, great, healthy role model as a man is more difficult. So all these cards were stacked against you because you were supposed to be a statistic, right? And you're like, nah, I'm not going to be a statistic, right? And sitting in that cell that day, in that holding cell, and coming to a realization of like, this ain't it, right? And it's like there's somebody right now who's headed to a cell. There's somebody who's sitting in a cell, and there's somebody who may have just gone out from that cell. But I think the biggest thing to take out of the pursuit of recovery is you have to come from a place of humbleness and a place of gratefulness, because there's more to life, but people can't work with you if you don't realize that there's more to life and that you don't got it figured out, right? Especially as men, because we got it figured out from jump. Day one, we know what to do. Don't tell me.
That's the way society is, right? You look up to the man, like he's supposed to know.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it's like we did a podcast a couple weeks ago where we had two men that came in here that were therapists and I believe certified alcohol, and they work with nothing but men. And we were talking about the mental health of men and what society and what statistically says is a man, right? Not only biologically, but what it is for a man being grown up, especially in the era. How old are you?
44.
I'm 42, so we're 80s babies, right? So growing up in those areas and in those time frames, we were outside. You skid your knee, bro? All right, put some dirt on it. Get back outside and play. and men were protectors and providers. We were not taught to be vulnerable. We were not taught to be emotional. We were not taught to express how we feel. We were taught you wake your ass up in the morning and you go to work. You wake up in the morning and you go clock in. You come home, you spend time with your family, and you go to bed and you get up and you do it again. That's what you do. That's what I was taught, because by the man that was in my life was also in recovery, but he was an excellent provider. But as a father figure, he was not. He did the best that he could, and I can honor him for that, and I can respect him, and I love him for what he did in my life. But as I got older, I had other men, 'cause I had to humble myself and say, look, I don't know how to do this, and can you help me? And one of my biggest motivators is my little brother, and that's humbling for me, right? To go to him and be like, hey man, like, what would you do in this situation? And I have my older brothers, right? I have different people in my life for different reasons, not only for what they pour into me, but what they show me I can show other men, right? Because that's the way society is supposed to be built, is we're supposed to help each other out. And if one man is struggling, then we got to pick that man up. All right, what do you need, right? Do you need help with your finances? Do you need to learn to budget? Are you lacking as being as a father? What are you lacking as being a husband, as a partner, whatever that may be? So you have these people I do personally. I have somebody who I talk to about being a better dad. I have somebody who I talk to about, hey, how can I be more successful in my finances? How can I be better in my marriage, right? Because all I want to do is get better. Because nothing in my life will ever dictate the type of man that I am today, right? Because everything that I've gone through has made me the man that I was and made me a core of who I am. I love people. I care about people, but I'm a hell of a protector too, right? And it's like I'm very humble because of what I've seen and what I've gone through, right? Walking those yards and seeing the things that we've seen and being a part of things that we've done and seeing all that. And it's like, you got to look at your life today. Like, I get to walk into my house and I can go to my fridge if I want to. And look at me. I love going to my fridge, right?
It's a nice fridge you have.
Exactly. I have an excellent 2-door fridge. And so, I think the bottom line that I'm trying to get to and the point that I'm trying to make is you will never get better until you humble yourself and you come to the realization that you don't know everything and that everything in your life is going the way that it's going because you don't know how to maintain it and because you don't know how to get control of it and you need help. So you got to humble yourself to say, I need the help, right? So now you have all this time under your belt. Congratulations on that time. That's awesome. What would you say now is the biggest factor in maintaining and retaining your sobriety at this point? Because I tell people all the time, mine was August 6, 2006. And they say, well, does it get easier? I was like, honestly, no, because you still got to wake up and you still got to make a decision and you still have to fight through those thoughts, the things that triggered you before, the argument with the old lady, whatever that may be, financial problems, all these things. Now, what's different now than before is I have a support system around me that I can reach out to. But again, it comes down to humbleness and being humble, because if you don't reach out to those people, it's like having a chest full of tools and you have car problems, but you're saying I don't have the right tool. You got to go into the tool chest and grab the tool that you need to address those things. So what do you do now in your life?
I absolutely love this question, man. There's so much I can go on it, man. And I'm gonna tell you that it never I never stop seeking, and that's because I never want to stop growing, and so I continually seek, and I continue put myself in predicaments where I'm able to grow, and like you said, I stay uncomfortable, and I need that, man, because this is the thing. It's nothing external. It's all internal. All that stuff that I got, man. There's no U-Haul behind that hearse, man. All that stuff that I got, man. I smoked more in less time, But I'm gonna tell you, maintaining recovery is I love this saying is that way we come in here and everybody thinks that the thing that we got in common is that we drink and use too much when we come to these rooms, and it's a very good truth, man. We can come in the room with everything that we got in common here, man, is that, hey, I drank too much and I used too much and all this stuff to keep it on a basic rule. But the one thing that we have in common here is that we have a forgetter. And after I come in here to these programs, what happens is that I forget about the pain and the misery of what happened, to point up to where it happened, that to where when I got here, like I wanted this. Like I wanted, like what happens to a lot of people? Like what happens? Like what happened to that want, dude?
Yeah.
Like we forget. We forget about the disrespectful stuff we did in our moms. Like we stop doing the work that's necessary in here for the growth, and we forget, man. And the thing that we have in common is that we have a forgetter, man. I'm gonna tell you what happens for us in recovery, man, is that I have to stay more vigilant in my work and with that triangle and doing the unity, the service, and the recovery. Like it's a trifold game, dude. Yeah. And it goes into this, man. It says and it talks about this uncomfortable things. It talks about God and having a relationship with God, you know. And I'm gonna tell you, like I come. And I'm still here because I did what was suggested to make it so I can remain here, man. And I'm gonna tell you, I got a little bit busy in life. This stuff was happening with sponsor. I never stopped being committed. I never stopped having a job in the program. I never stopped working with people. I never stopped going to meetings. And I'm gonna tell you what happened. But I was feeling like, man, like, you know what? Something's wrong, but nothing's wrong, right? Yeah. Something's wrong, but nothing's wrong. Yeah. Like, what's going on? It's bothering me. Like, people are like, I don't want to talk to, you know, this stuff's bothering me, man. I think a lot of it, man, I was taking my will back. You know, once again, I was doing what us men do, right? I got it from here, right? I got it, man. Yeah. I don't got it, man. To this day, with the amount of time I have, I do not have it.
There you go.
I need the program now more than ever.
Yeah.
Because now I really, man, my mind can trick me right now. It's a mental obsession, man. And my mind will play those tricks on me and be like, you know what, man? You don't really need to go to meetings tonight, you know. You don't, like you can do a date night. You got, man, you're a full-time dad. You got a business, you work, you do all this stuff. But where do you find time to do that, man? Yeah. I'm gonna tell you what, man. You better find the time. Yeah. People ask me, like, how do you find the time? I'm gonna tell you, man, I don't get my life and recovery mixed up, man. It's two different things, dude. My life is my life, dude. Yeah. Like that's what you see. I'm out there. I'm living, dude. Yeah. I am absolutely on a 100% scale. I'm living my life, dude. And that's because I never had a life to live. I have a life, man. But my recovery. See, that's a separate line, dude. Yeah. Right? Like about how I'm gonna tell you how you are living. Might be come to a direct line of how your recovery is, dude. Do you got a home group? Do you have a sponsor? Do you utilize that sponsor? Number one important thing, dude, after I think a good 2 or 3 year mark, man, are you helping anybody? Yep. Like, are you digging in? Because we come in here, we're selfish and self-centered to the core, man. That's how it happens when you get into prison, you get into the streets, or when you're drinking. It does not just for people like me, but like we get selfish and self-centered, and then we get sober, and then we get back to self. Now we're sober and selfish and self-centered, and we come into the program, and we don't want to do nothing to help anybody. We just want to rape all the benefits, man. I'm gonna tell you, man. I come in here, dude, and I stay vigilant. I stay vigilant and living the life in the triangle of my life, man. My life is my life. I have to keep it separate, man. Yeah. But I live a life of recovery, man. Like the good days, the bad days. It doesn't matter about the days. It just matters that I still got to check into meetings wherever I can, wherever I go, because I still got this mind that tells me that I'm not enough. You are not enough. Still to this day, I gotta go in there and check into meetings to hear other people's stories so they can remind me of what it's like out there. Because it doesn't sound like it's eating better. I haven't heard nobody talking about, man, I won the lottery and now I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous. Or the drugs are so good that I stopped and I just came in here. I built my life from inside. I built my life from AA, man. Yeah. I owe a debt to this program, and I have to make sure that no matter how big my life is, I don't get too much life and not enough AA. I don't want to be such a big shot out here in my life that I can't come into a meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous or NA, or go somewhere and sit down and just have a seat, man. Because we're all the same size in the program, dude.
There you go.
We're all just trying not to drink for this day. And in my life, man, I'm gonna tell you, I got 9 years or something like that, man. I was really feeling this disconnection. It was like I was taking my will back. I was doing some things, man. And I sum it all up in one thing, man. I was not into the spiritual practice, man. They talk about the meditation meditation. They talk about praying and like, that was cool. Thank you, God. Pray, to have a cup of coffee, a few drinks, pray and meditation. I'm gonna tell you, man, I started doing this yoga thing, and they asked me one time. They said, "You want to, how you feel?" I'm like, you know what? I'm actually feeling kind of good today.
Yeah.
Do you want to that your back? Yeah, no. They're like, you want to do like meditation, or do you want to do stretching? Let's try a little bit of this meditation out, man. Once again, man, there's things that, they talk about us having I thought that meditation wasn't for guys like me. I thought I was too big, I was above it, man. But I really think that what happened for me at 9 years is I reconnected into God in my understanding. Because it's like that God that I worked up for that first 9 years was a God that worked for me in every aspect of my life. But I really feel that the levels of surrender, they get bigger, they get deeper, they get more in tune. And that if you got to stay working a program. I worked a program, I stopped, I graduated, now I'm cool, couple meetings a week, I take a cake once a year. That's not me, man.
Yeah.
Like I need, like my life is like I used to find ways and means of how to get loaded on a 24/7 basis until I got busted. And I did. And I got to stay here on my recovery because I need it, man. I need it, dude. Like man, like, what are you giving back, man? Like after 3 years, man, are you giving back? Are you working with somebody, dude? You should have a commitment. You got a home group. Do you have a sponsor? Do you still talk with, do you know that your sponsor and your sponsee brothers, do you have that? Like we're talking about this, right? That group of men that we hang out with, to bounce ideas about. Why? Because we're all learning together, man.
Yep.
And you're going through something that I might be going through, and this guy's going through something that he's going through, and we sit out here and we talk, man, openly and sharingly, and not judging one another, because that's how you grow, man. Yeah. That's how we grow, right? No judgment. Let me help you.
You gotta be open.
Gotta be open, man. What's the one thing, man? And let me help you, man. Let me help you, man.
It comes like full circle.
Let me be unselfish, man. I think that if you come into this program, man, and that we don't, and that we do, like we soak up all this stuff, dude, and we stay selfish, man. I got guys that are like, man, how do I not be selfish? I'm like, man, it's very simple, man. You gotta work with somebody.
Yeah.
You gotta take that time, man, because now you got some time.
Yeah.
Right? And we take the time that we get back here in the program, man. What do we make it all about? Ourselves, man. And I give all my time to help I give all my time to the program, man. I'm giving my time because it worked so good. You know why? Because this is the thing, man. It's because I actually seen the lights in somebody. I got addicted to the feeling of helping somebody and being able to give back and watching the light click on in somebody else, man. I don't know if you ever sat there, like maybe my sponsor did it with me or something like that, but he clicked on, like he was telling me, and we're probably, some of those people are like, damn, I don't know, man. I just don't know if he's gonna get it, man.
He's gonna make it.
But then one day you see this person, man, and you see it in it, and you just see it in his eyes, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, that's addicting, man.
Yeah.
That's what I loved. Man, when all of a sudden you're sitting across from somebody and they're telling you about how they help somebody, or you're seeing them, they're taking somebody to a meeting, and you're telling it, and then by this time, and then they're up at the podium and they're seeing stuff and they're saying stuff like that thing, like, damn, I said that.
Yeah.
And then you realize it was nothing ever that we said, man. It was the example that we led by.
Exactly.
Right? Be a good person, man.
There you go.
Be that example for somebody to be, to follow. That's what means a lot, man.
Yeah.
Be kind, man.
Yeah.
You don't know what other people are going through. Like, can you imagine if you showed up to a meeting, if you're yelling and screaming, you're not hugging? Like, man, I give big hug. Levi gave me that big magical hug when I got into that treatment center, dude. He gave me this hug, man. And I don't know what it was, man. But something about that hug was just, it changed something.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, man, who, man? But,
I mean, it could be as simple as hey, man, how you doing?
hey, man, how you doing, man? Hey, I'm a hugger, dog. Hey, I'm a hugger, bro. I'm saying that as I grab your hand.
Like, hey, how are you?
Hey, how you doing, bro? Let me hug that out. Let's hug that out real quick, right? Let's hug it out, man. Let's hug it out, bro. You good? Are you good, right?
Yeah.
You get it off your chest. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's because I'm into a positive lifestyle.
Yeah.
I'm into a routine's way of living. Freedom through discipline, man. Like I love, like, my life is a life today because of this program, and it'd be selfish to me to give up on this one thing that gave me a life, dude.
Yeah.
I embrace it. I learn and I seek, man.
Awesome.
I started doing 15 minutes meditation with this yoga instructor, private lessons, right? Yeah. Opened up a whole new level of that I didn't know. It's like I thought I knew what it was, man. prejudice. I was prejudiced to all these different views and ways of life, of living, and because once again, I have to come in here, and my favorite thing is you just got to do everything, man.
Yeah.
You got to do everything, man. Because then after you start doing everything, and after you start doing so much stuff, you start, finding out what you do like, and what you don't like, man.
Yep.
So,
this is I'm super appreciative that you came out and shared your story. Your energy is crazy, bro. I like it. So it's just like, when I see people that come in here and they figured it out what's working for them, but they have the same foundation, right? We're all headed to the same destination. We just might take a different road. And so it's like we sit here and we talk about the support systems, and we talk about the rooms. We talk about AA, NA, spirituality. We talk about all these things and avenues that people may take to obtain and retain recovery. So it's like everybody's story is different, right? You don't have to go to prison. You don't have to get locked up.
Not.
You don't have to.
You can be in prison in your house or prison in your yard, man. It doesn't matter.
Prison in your mind.
Man.
And so it's like you don't have to walk the path that we've walked, but the foundation of the path is the same, is the addiction, and it's the mental health issues that come along with that. So to see people sit across from me and share their story is humbling for me. Like you were saying, the addiction for the light, right? So for me, it's an addiction of I get to hear your story, because your story may be relatable to mine, but it may not be relatable. But the destination is the same, and it's helping people, right? My destination is I'm going to help the broken, I'm going to help the lost, and I'm going to help you recover what was yours. That's my job. That's where I'm at. That's where my heart is, right? And however that may be for me to get you to that point, that's where I'm going to get you to, right? And I'm going to fight with you. I'm going to fight with you in the literal sense of I'm going to fight with you to make you understand that you're worth it, but I'm going to fight with you when you feel like you can't fight. That it's a two-step for me, right? Because I deal with both of them. The people who don't see the value in themselves, but I see.
I think a lot of what you're talking about is just a perception change, man.
That's it.
Mindset, dude.
Mindset shift.
That's that perception, dude.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you see that, hey, I got it. Yeah, you do. All right, now let's start working through it, right? And it's like when you're able to do that with people, is something amazing and it's something beautiful, and there ain't no feeling like that in the world. So Garrett, this is where we are in the podcast. This is your moment. This is the Garrett show right now. Nice. So this is your camera. You can go ahead and speak into it. Take a few moments. Give somebody who's probably in the cell, probably struggling right now, probably about to use, and they're watching this video and they clicked on it. They heard about you and they want to look at it. This is your moment to share some faith and some hope, and to give them just the drive and a little bit of gas to be like, all right, I'm going to change.
Welcome to the Garrett Show.
There you go. Welcome.
For all those people out there who may be lost in a disease or a mental health, or just out there and they don't know what to do. Family's gone, kids gone, house gone, belief system gone, no hope, just lost out there. I tell you that I got into chasing sunsets, and because I feel like there's nothing. There's a couple things that I feel like that mean a lot, man. That's conversations at a table with the people you love, and sitting there at a sunset, man, and actually being able to be present in life. And I felt like for so long that I wasn't able to be present in anybody's life, not even my own. And so it's a reminder to me to every day that when the sun sets or I see it set, to be able to know that I just be still and know that I'm with God. And I know that every time I'm sitting there and I'll be with my, and I'll be with my kids, or I'll be with my family members, or I'll be with my friends, or I'm sitting there and I'm watching the sun, man. It's like there's nothing else being in the moment, man. Like being in the moment and actually getting able to feel like the ground at the bottom of my feet, man. To let all that worry, all that stress, and all this stuff that I'm carrying on my shoulders, to just let it fall off to the side, man, and let me be present, man. Because I think at that moment is the only moment I can really make a true decision, man. Like if you either want this thing or you don't, man. And from the moment I got here into this day, man, I had to make a decision, and I still wake up every single day, man, and I still have to make that decision. Like I want this, man. I wanted to be where I was at years and years ago, and I'm just grateful, man, that God gave me the opportunity to walk through and go through all the stuff I went through, man, to be able to help people like you. So if you're ever lost in your day or your night, man, maybe you're watching the sun come up or maybe you're watching the sun come down. Just know that in that very moment, man, is that when you're able in the quietness of God and you're able to dig down into some soul searching, man, that you're able to find the answer, man. And I know that answer, man, whatever it may be, man, I hope, man, that you're able to be like, man, yes, I want something bigger and better and more beautiful for myself, man. And that decision is always, we're always just one decision away from a better life, man. And I hope that decision you make, man, makes your life for tomorrow. Thank you.
Dang, that was good. That was good, man.
Thank you.
Be in the moment.
Be in the moment, man.
So using my story, once again, we thank you guys for joining us and clicking on this video. Give us a like, a follow, and a share. If you guys need transitional living, you guys are seeking for mental health or substance abuse issues, our links are in the bio. Also, we have openings at the transitional living at home that we work with, so feel free to reach out. Like we always say at the end of our videos, you're not alone, so reach out. All right.